Hi, everyone. It's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And welcome to our channel, James Butler.
And thank you, Krylios. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Certainly. It is such a pleasure to have you here with us. So let me just kick this all off by having you introduce yourself to our guest and tell them what you're running for.
Hey, and everybody, YouTube family out there, and Krylios again, thank you all for so much. I'm grateful for being here. It's certainly a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to run for the District of Columbia mayor. Once again, I ran in 2018. I finished second in the Democratic primary, and I'm running again because of the urgency of the time.
Certainly. Well, I know many of our viewers are wondering, you ran before, you're running again. Why this time, for this specific position, this cycle,
Yes.
yes. Talk to me a little bit about making the decision to run again.
Yeah, so I will say this to all of our listeners. Some people ask me, when did I decide after losing the Democratic nomination in 2018 by 53,000 votes? When did I decide that I was going to run again? And my answer to them is very easy. The seconds that I learned that I lost the nomination, I decided that I was going to run again. And it's not so much an ego thing whatsoever, but it's an urgent thing. The city needs a bold leader who's going to change things when it comes to the space of lowering our 17-year gun violence level, making real affordable housing, because Black Americans in this city have been displaced more than any other major U.S. city in the country. The gun violence, as I've said, homelessness has festered. We need a real bold leader. And if you've been there for 15 years, there's nothing you can tell me that you can do that you didn't have time to offer already. And that goes for Muriel Bowser, Trayon White, Robert White. Both have sat on DC Council for 6 years, respectively. Neither of them can tell me that they have a plan for homelessness, for the rising gun violence, for the housing crisis that they couldn't have offered already. So now if you give them a position that is a greater position controlling the budget, what else are you going to do differently? I'm here as a change agent because of the urgency of the time.
Certainly. And I like that you've already touched on some of those issues that are really important to you. Share with our viewers how you can probably attack these issues and do something different than what the current mayor has done before, those others who are running against you. What change can you offer when it comes to these issues that they haven't already tried?
Great question, Krylios. And let me just address the big issue right now, and that is gun violence in the city. It's at we have exceeded homicides from last year, and then certainly in the last 17 years. I am not a defund the police Democrat. Let's just be clear. I'm not about defunding the police. I want to increase the number of police on the street. And I'll give you the reasons why. We will do two things to lower and tackle gun violence in this city. The first thing is we will create a gun violence or illegal gun interdiction unit. That interdiction unit will be charged with the interception of illegal guns at DC's borders. That will be any street that leads into DC, any thoroughfare that leads in DC. They will be charged specifically, plainclothes officers, to intercept illegal guns coming in DC from Maryland, Virginia, and any other place where someone might bring an illegal gun into the district. That's going to require us to put more plainclothes officers on the street, and we will do that. I know not everyone's going to be happy about my decision in the defund the police era that we're living in, but the reality is a bold leader has to do bold steps to keep people alive and safe. That's my job as mayor of the district. If I'm honored and privileged to hold that job, my job is to keep the residents of the district safe and happy. Number one. And two, I will tell you this, we will also partner with the ATF to ensure that ghost guns and the components of ghost guns that are being created on the internet and disseminated through commerce, whether that be through internet black market or placed in the hands of violent criminals. We are going to keep our babies alive so that no one ever has to say that they've seen another 6-year-old girl buried or another 10-year-old girl buried. That is unacceptable in the nation's capital of America, and some would argue in the nation's capital of the world. I'm going to put an end to it. I will tell you, in addition to that, these loitering laws, DC currently does not have a no loitering law. It did many years ago. It was abandoned because it was not constitutionally applied. Specifically, Black men were targeted in a way that was unconstitutional to them. I get that. I've done civil rights work all my adult life, and I'm committed to those things and protecting people's civil rights. But at the same time, I'm also concerned about people and the festering violence in this city. We will reinstate DC's no loitering law. People will no longer be posted up on the block at various places around the city, because we know that when that happens, guns are exchanged, illegal guns are exchanged, other instrumentalities of crimes are exchanged. And in addition to that, we also know that all types of illegal activities fester. We will do two things, again, just for a quick recap. We will bring a gun violence interdiction or illegal gun interdiction unit to intercept those illegal guns, and we will be successful with it. They will work with the current gun recovery unit, and we will reinstate the district's no loitering laws. And I can guarantee you, we will see gun violence cut in half.
Wow. Well, I will say I have been living in the district now for almost 8 years, and I've never
kind of a newbie.
yeah, but I've never had to think that I was being shot at and had to like go to the floor until like a couple months ago when I was on U Street of all places. And, you know, it rang out and like we all fell to the floor and everything. That was the first time I ever experienced that.
Wow.
And, you know, it's just a lot of these things, more of these issues happening in
it's
DC.
Happening everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere, Krylios.
Everywhere, all over.
It's sad. Yeah, it really is.
Sad. It is sad. I will say for any district residents who will say that, you know, reinstating the no loitering law will lead to just discrimination again, because especially if we look at unhoused people and the amount of unhoused people and the rate of, you know, people of color being unhoused as opposed to our white counterparts, then that can become discriminatory. What kind of steps will be put in place to make sure that if a no loitering law comes back into effect, that it does not disproportionately affect the people of color in the District of Columbia and, you know, many other people and places where, you know, they can't stay here or they can't stay there and they meet people outside? Like, what things will be put in place to make sure that this does not happen?
That's a very, very good question. And I will tell you this, part of that I will also address when I address homelessness too. But we will have an oversight with this, in conjunction with our federal partners to ensure that the law is constitutionally applied. We will work with the DOJ to make sure that people that are homeless or experiencing homelessness, because no one's homeless, they're experiencing it, because as soon as they get a home, they're no longer homeless. So I don't like to use the term homeless, someone experiencing homelessness. And so we will ensure that, we work with our partners locally and federally to distinguish those people who are experiencing homelessness from those that are simply loitering on the block. Part of that we require some level of observation. How long the people are observed to be there, how long they're standing there, and what activities they might be engaging in while they're there. A lot of times we can get this information from surveillance cameras, from shop owners, store owners, and those sorts of things. So I think most of us, too, if we took a few minutes and just observe someone, we can tell whether someone's living in a certain area and differentiate that from someone loitering coming into that area for a nefarious purpose. And so I think with our partners that we engage in, that should be somewhat distinguishable, and we will be able to delineate to ensure that people that are experiencing temporary homelessness are not targeted and disproportionately affected by this too, because we know that Black and brown people are predominantly the ones that are experiencing these things, especially in this city. And that's why I've done a number of things to really ensure that our homeless population is looked after. And I've talked about the mental and behavioral health issues and the need for extreme wraparound service, not just get them a house, but to ensure that people that are experiencing homelessness and that we provide a level of shelter now have that shelter. But if they're experiencing a mental or behavioral health issue, that we give them wraparound services, that we connect them if they're disabled to ensure that they're getting their check and money. If they're not disabled, to ensure that they're getting career services available and on the job, on potentially on the applicant workforce, where they can get a job based on their skill sets. And we will make sure that every homeless person in the city is accounted for. How will we do it? We will reinstate the HeadCount. We will bring the HeadCounts back and make sure that we know every person experiencing homelessness. If they're, have a mental or behavioral health issue like bipolarism or schizophrenia, that, they fear housing or their house has become the enemy, we will work with them until they become healthy. There is no reason that DC, the capital of the United States of America, should not be emblematic of the ideals of America. And that's taking care of folks, making sure that we look after each other. We want to talk about it, but now it's time to be about it.
Certainly. And since we're now on the topic of homelessness and unhoused people, that is, of course, certainly intrinsically linked and tied to the affordable housing crisis here in the district and all across the US. So what plans do you have when it comes to making sure that people are able to live in the city? They can afford to do that. These housing prices for everything just keep ballooning, skyrocketing year after year, and more people are having to move out into the suburbs, out of actually being in the city limits. What plans do you and your campaign have to make sure that that's timid?
Well, DC, of all the major cities that have experienced gentrification, DC's level of gentrification has displaced more Black and brown people than any other major US city. Those are facts. And I want any viewers to fact check me on that. We've displaced more of those families that have been here for generations, and they should have a right to stay here. There's two ways we're going to tackle that. The current formula to calculate affordable housing, it's all a smokescreen devised by Muriel Bowser's administration to make people think they're getting affordable housing and to pacify people. And let me tell you how I know that. The current formula to calculate, known as AMI, we're using HUD's formula to calculate. Why doesn't HUD's formula work for what's affordable in DC? It artificially brings up what's affordable in DC because DC, it takes into calculation of the surrounding counties. Well, the surrounding counties happen to be the richest counties in America. 3 of the richest counties in America. So that's why when we use HUD's formula to calculate area median income, it artificially conflates what is and what isn't affordable in DC. Nothing in the present law stops or prevents DC government from adopting its own formula of AMI and making true affordable housing. We will change the law. We will adopt a localized formula, and housing will truly become affordable in DC. That is bold, decisive leadership. That's the kind of leadership we need going into 2020 22. That's the kind of leadership we need over the next 4 and 8 years. In addition to that, we will rent control right now. It exists in DC, but most people don't know about it. Why don't you know about it? Because rent control right now, as the law is written, it only applies to dwelling places built before 1979. Put another way, anything built in the last 42 years, it's not subject to rent control. We will change the law to include anything built post 1979, to include all dwelling places in the district. We will bring effective rent control that will give people a fighting chance to stay in the district. It will slow the rate of gentrification. We know there are more Black renters and brown renters in DC than white or other renters in the district. That will allow us to combat gentrification.
Certainly. So,
I should add to that, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
I'm also privileged, Krylios, to be one of the only candidates of a major U.S. city in the United States of America to propose, and that will bring reparations for Black American descendants of slaves.
Oh, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, let me thank you so much. What that means to all Black American descendants of slaves, and we're going to have an apparatus where we work with the Freedmen Organization and Georgetown University to establish your lineage to, African American slave trade. If we can make that connection, and you've been in the district for 2 years, we will partner. And I was just had a meeting with Georgetown yesterday. We will partner with every university in the district to do exactly what Georgetown is doing, allowing African American descendants of slavery to attend Georgetown, to attend GW, to attend American University, to attend all of these universities that we formulate a public-private partnership with so that they can go for free. That's how you slow gentrification down and give people not a handout, but a hand up so they've got a fighting chance. So in addition to that, the education component, there will be small cash payments as a token of what African Americans have done to build this country. In addition to that, we will help seniors that are 65 and older that are behind on their taxes on their home, preserve those homes and abate. We will get rid of all of those taxes that they're behind on. And then those seniors that achieve the age of 65, they will no longer pay property taxes on their homes. And it's not that many. It's not that money. We can do it. We've got an $18 billion budget. We can do it. We just have to have the will and the desire and the passion and compassion to do this. We can absolutely do it. That's what I mean, that the most effective way to fight gentrification is by reparations. Because who's affected by gentrification most, especially in this city, is Black American descendants of slaves. We will show the federal government, everyone talked about it when the nomination was happening, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, but what's happening about it? They got the votes. This mayor of Washington, D.C. will show the federal government how it's done. It won't be perfect. It'll be some growing pains, but I will take the bold steps of bringing reparations for Black American descendants of slavery.
Certainly. Thank you so much. So next, I want to ask you, for anyone who's wondering, for anyone who's watching, when does the primary voting begin?
It is June 21st of 2021. Now, you asked specifically when it begins. I can only imagine that there's going to be, I do know that there will be mail-in ballots again, like there was the last election cycle. So everyone, as it's my understanding, will receive a mail-in ballot. And I believe that the early voting will start 3 weeks prior to, or thereabout, to June 21st of 2021. And the actual election day is June 21st of 2021.
Awesome. And for those who want to learn more about you, learn more about your campaign, support your campaign in any way, how can they go about doing that?
We need you folks, and we need your support. You can log onto my website at Butler, the number 4, DC.com. That's Butler4DC.com. You can call me on my cell phone directly. Few folks will do this, but you can call me at 202-677-3131. I will answer the phone, not some campaign staff or anyone like that. I answer all my calls directly. We do have a team. We do have a robust team. We've got over 100 people on the ground, and we are growing, but we need you. We need your help. I think it's very important to contact people directly. That's why I choose to answer all of my calls, and I'm going to continue to do that for the duration of the campaign. I can't make that promise once I'm in the mayor's office that I'll do that all the time, but I really, really mean it. When I say have the mantra of people first, if you elect me for this position and I fail to keep people first, recall me or vote me out.
Certainly. So to remind everyone, that is www.butler4dc.com. And you can find the link in the description of this video. And if you want to make sure that you are vote ready come June of next year, you can text Team Racine to 40649. Once again, that's Team Racine to 40649. Pledge to vote, check your status, register to vote. And that's provided by HeadCount.org. Thank you so much, James, for joining me today.
Thank you, Krylios.
Been such a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to see you again, and please give my best regards to Racine and everyone on the team. Okay.
I certainly will.
Okay.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. Bye, everyone.
Stay well.